Hi, welcome to this episode of Bias News. Today with me, I have my good friend Michael. Michael, would you like to introduce yourself to my guest?
Yeah, I'm a fourth year communications major at Seattle University.
I'm glad to hear that. Is there anything else about you that is notable in any way, shape, or form?
No.
Okay, cool. Anyways, moving on. Today's topic is obesity. Michael, you're not obese, are you?
Don't think so.
That's very good. That because do you think you're not obese because you just have a control on yourself, or like, how do you think you avoided obesity in this, like, rampant obesity crisis?
Well, recently I've been focusing on what I put into my body. I've been trying to rely more on zero sugar products or water in place of like soda, and try to stay away from snacks. And stuff.
Yeah. So you said like you generally just care about your health and have decided to choose healthier health practices rather than like eating whatever you want.
Yeah, I still splurge. I have a box of like cheese crackers at home in my room, but I still try to eat sparingly when I can.
Okay, but would you say that the or the obesity crisis in America is tied to people being unable to do what you can? Like, is it about self control or is it something else to it?
Well, in the land of the free, we all have our own
Home of the brave.
home of the brave. We all have our own choices that we can make every day. You know, I can wake up and decide to eat 50 cheeseburgers from McDonald's if I wanted to.
Yeah,
Anyone can.
yeah. Well, besides the price, but that's something else.
Sure. But the reason that people are drawn towards it, in my opinion, as a communications major, is that these companies, the big brands out there, are hosting malicious advertisements. Not malicious in a way of dark and evil, but malicious in a way that attracts the more vulnerable crowd to spending money on snacks and eating and all that. Advertisements are getting colorful really quick. Our attention spans are shorter than ever, especially with the introduction of TikTok. And so these ads really hit the target home when it comes to making things look appealing. I've seen many product placements on TikTok, many restaurant advertisements. They all look really good, and that's the point. That's the purpose of them, to look really good, so people come and buy it. And I feel like the younger generation is really falling prey to this practice that these companies are putting out.
So you would say that there's definitely a neurological component to it. So
One,
it's about the mind rather than the body.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you think so because that is my next topic. It is do you think in our society, not just in our generation, but in society in general, we have grown kind of accustomed to the idea that we are addicted to something. Is I think this is a sentiment that has somewhat been reciprocated within our generation more than anything, but it can be seen throughout like history.
Yes. I think there's something that everyone's addicted to nowadays, whether it be video games, working out, eating, binge eating especially, and whatever, drugs, gambling. Something's always on the mind of people. Like people who vape, they say they might not be addicted, but it has addictive qualities that is hard to shake, and not at the victim's expense. They obviously want to practice good health practices, but I think it's what the companies are doing. I think there's definitely advertising is a big player in all of this. I feel, and yeah,
And let me ask you something else. Do you think that sugar is an addictive substance?
yes,
And would you be shocked to know that 2/3 of all commercial goods in America have actually had sugar put into them in some way, shape, or form?
I would not be surprised.
You would not be surprised.
No, I mean, I've taken a glance at a lot of products and goods like contents, and they almost always have sugar in them. It's fairly hard to find a product nowadays that is all natural, zero sugar, whatever the product may be. It's hard to find one that really resonates with your body. And I feel like part of that are corporations taking up a lot of shelf space on the supermarket. So it's really hard to find those homegrown competitors and healthier products.
And they're also more expensive, which adds just another barrier of just another reason for people to not go for the healthy option. Because why would you get the healthy option when it's more expensive and also, let's be honest, it tastes worse.
Yeah.
Like, I think Coke Zero is one of the like biggest things that have been generated in our society. Like generally, like imagine life without Coke Zero, Michael.
Oh yeah, that would suck.
That would suck.
What like Diet Coke?
Diet Coke, dude. Diet Coke can like take the rust of an engine. I don't want to drink that. Like, that's like the issue with this stuff. It's like we don't know what's in this stuff. We can't know because even if they told us, we wouldn't understand. But at the same time, what should we care? Like, what degree of responsibility falls upon us to care about this stuff?
A lot of it. I mean, the only way to make any change is if we all group together, band together, and raise our voices. The companies don't care about us, individualistically. They don't care if one of us goes, screw you, I don't like your stuff. They start caring when all of us start to say, screw you, I don't like you. That's when they start losing money, and money is what they care about. The reason they're pushing out all these addictive features is to get more money. But once that money starts to dry up, what are they going to do? They're going to be forced to change to build back that equity.
Yeah. I think you bring up some decent arguments, Michael. And I would like to move on to my next point, which is what do you think is the way forward from this? Do you think that we are just, as a society, doomed to just endure this obesity crisis? Like, are people always going to be fat and unhealthy until somebody makes a miracle cure like Ozempic that just makes things okay again?
Yeah, I think we have a chance at bettering ourselves without anything that interferes with our human biological system. I think a really good example of that is the Got Milk campaign. That pushed dairy onto a lot of people, especially the younger generation, which is a big target in like a lot of things, especially companies. Companies love to target kids because they're a really, I guess, easy to manipulate group of people. A really good ad campaign such as Got Milk can really stick with people, can cause a shift in society. Milk has gotten a lot more mainstream since then. I've seen a lot of ads for it on school on TV. It kind of wormed its way into school, and milk has become a daily part of my life. I know a lot of people don't like milk, but I think one of the reasons I like milk so much is because it was something I would drink every single day at elementary school. So if we have a good reason to change, we would change. We don't need
To rely on like chemicals.
we don't need chemicals. We don't need someone to say get a better workout routine. We don't need we don't need bigger gyms. We don't need less sugar in food. Although that would be nice, I think what we need is a good motivation to change, i.e., a really good campaign.
So you're what you're telling me right now is that if somebody, some absolute communications virtuoso out there, start a health campaign so good it could convince the entirety of America to change their ways.
More or less. Now, I'm not saying this health campaign will be like lose 100 pounds or die. I'm saying it's like maybe cut out one bad source a day. Like, what's that meal template that kind of sucked back in the day? That was everywhere. It did suck, but it was ingrained in my head. I know that we should have essential food groups, and that kind of shift to that really colorful play of reds and greens and whatever really helped kind of change my view on how to consume food. And that was only a minor part of getting healthier. Food groups, milk, maybe someone can encourage cutting out a food group or slightly encouraging whatever else it may be that could really help push the people.
Yeah. Do you know that obesity isn't just a problem in America nowadays? Well, you kind of mentioned it earlier, so I'm assuming you do. But Actually, obesity has been ever growing, not only in America, but in China and also in India. All these are countries with major populations in the world. Do you think that plays a part into why food has gone so bad in these countries? It's because of the population?
I think so. I think the shift from those countries from something like agriculture focused to something that can be mass produced, like a bag of Lay's potato chips. I think that has been detrimental. As the population grows, its focus also grows. No longer can they rely as much on things like farms and butcher shops. Back when the population was low, now they have to focus on feeding so many more people, dozens of times the original amount of people that they can't help but go into produced foods. What's it called? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you think that perhaps this is all tied together? That this idea that people are more addicted to substances and such, that maybe just maybe, that has to do with the rising obesity crisis, and that people are in a weird way losing control over their actions, even when it comes to like what they consume. They're just going through the motions and doing whatever they want or what they can to kind of cope with the state of the world right now.
I mean, yeah, a lot of people binge eat to cope with the fact of, whatever may be happening in their lives. Some people turn to smoking or drinking to feel better about themselves. And I think that the loss of control in our lives really impacts this. I mean, not there's not a lot one can do that isn't influenced by an outside source. As I said earlier, you can wake up and get 50 McDonald's cheeseburgers, um, but there's a reason why I said 50 McDonald's cheeseburgers. That's because McDonald's is one of the biggest fast food chains in the world, um, and that has influenced me to bring that up in a conversation. As silly as that is, we are influenced by something every single day.
So you're saying that these corporations have ingrained themselves into our psyche and are just sadly manipulating us into overeating?
100%. Or not to sound like the woke left, but like I do think that we are slowly losing our freedom as humans. As I said again, we are the home of the free and the brave, the land of the free and the brave, whatever. But like, I do think that that aspect is certainly going downhill. We as American citizens are advertised to every single second of every single day. The moment you walk outside, something is being shoved in your face. Whether you notice it or not, which is the worst part, you don't even notice it. Something will always be feeding into your brain, and I think that starts to weaken us a little bit to make us more susceptible to wanting food, especially from these big three corporations or whatever it may be, and that really sucks.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that in society we've kind of lost control, not only about like I said earlier, not only about like what we eat, but what we do. It's just kind of this idea that as time goes on and we become overly exposed to stuff like McDonald's, nicotine, whatever it may be, we've kind of subconsciously accepted them, and in doing so, we've empowered them to do whatever they want. And what they want to do is make us eat. They want to make us consume. They want to make us capitalize, and give into the what they need. And at the end of the day, do you think this is the fault of us as a society, or is it the fault of corporations for doing this?
I think it's both. I mean, for a society to happen, sorry, for a society to like actually be a society, there are obviously going to be groups of people who band together, create organizations, companies, or whatever to benefit the masses in a certain way or form. McDonald's started out as a humble local burger chain or burger restaurant, right? And it's grew into what it's been today. And I think that is also technically part of society. There's always a need to be better than one another. That's like ingrained into our minds as human beings. From primal days, we've always wanted to be at the top, right? Animals exhibit this, we obviously exhibit this, and that's not to the fault of people, even though we as people feel this way. the corporations who want more money, who want more big bucks, want to expand, urbanize, colonize, dare I say, right? Capitalize. They are the ones who prey on us, which kind of sucks. There's not much we can do as society. As a society, as a world banded together, we will always grow in one direction. You know, we will always grow towards the future. We will always advance sciences and whatever. But that also means we have to grow our businesses, organizations, companies. We can't forever stay local mom and pop shops, right? And that's, I think, the worst part about it. There's nothing you can do against it. I mean, look what happened to socialism,
Really?
communism, utilitarianism. Look at all these things.
So you're saying that there's no way we can fix capitalism and make this issue go away?
I mean, unless there's some political concept that I don't know about, I think capitalism is probably the only way to foster a like free first world country without sounding too, xenophobic or whatever.
What about China? I mean, China's a communist party. I mean, sure, they adopted some of the ideas of capitalism, but ultimately, it's a communist region.
There's also a lot of unhappy people there who feel like they can't speak out about that. There's a lot of jokes about things like Tiananmen Square, internet restrictions and all that, and I'm pretty sure those, or at least the second one, was probably true at some point. The first one's obviously true, but that's because the government restricts them, and I don't know how many Americans would be happy if their government restricted them too much. And so democracy leads into capitalism, and capitalism leads into consumerism, and consumerism leads into obese Americans.
So, in our search for freedom, you're saying that we have somewhat handed over our willingly to, or sorry, have handed over our decision-making abilities to the corporations to some degree in an exchange for our freedom to consume what we want.
Yeah, I mean, look at literally what happened. Yesterday? Elon Musk, not to be super crazy political in this communication health class, but Elon Musk was with Donald Trump. Some super duper recently promoting Tesla products for $35,000. This red Tesla Model Y. Like, this business is up there with these political groups. I don't think that should be happening. That's weird. His kid was there. Elon Musk's kid was there, and I don't know what that was about. But it's crazy how much of our free thinking is being not controlled at the very least, but heavily influenced by, these big presences, not just corporations and businesses, but political groups as well.
Okay. And do you think that Elon Musk is obese?
I don't know. He's a weird body shape. His ribs are weird.
Yeah. Have you seen that picture of what's his name, Mark Zuckerberg, with his shirt off when he was swimming or
No, I've seen the Elon one. That one,
was it Elon? Was it Elon Musk?
I think it was Elon. That one
he was
me.
surfing. You know what I'm talking about?
His rib cage. Yeah. His rib cage is flared and it makes his chest odd.
Is that do you think he's obese? I would say
if
so.
He's obese.
I mean, from what I saw in that picture, I would say that he's got some extra fat in his body.
I think he has a weird shape, a weird build. I'm not gonna put it against him, obviously. Probably a lot of it wasn't to his doing, but I don't know if he's obese. Maybe chunky. Maybe a little chunky.
You would say chubby. Chunky is acceptable. Okay.
A little chub.
So, but you have to think about it, because these people, these ultra millionaires, have all the resources they could want to get rid of this issue, to not be obese if they so desire to. I mean, if you hire a personal chef to make all your meals every day, you can easily lose weight. But some of them choose not to. Like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is very overweight. Donald Trump is fat as fuck, and he doesn't care. So, do you think that obesity perhaps has become somewhat accepted in our society? Do you think that obesity is a disease, Michael?
Obesity is not a disease. I think the disease, not to be all weird, woke left again, but I think that these companies, businesses, and organizations are the disease. Donald Trump, I remember, I forgot what it was. Donald Trump had a buffet of McDonald's.
I remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
You remember when he went to McDonald's to work?
That was crazy. Why McDonald's? Because it's one of the biggest organizations in the world. I mean, there's probably some lobbying happening, but it's also because McDonald's tastes good. The quarter pounder with bacon and cheese and all that, and like a medium fry and a large Coke. That's yummy. I would eat that a lot.
Do you ever wonder if that food actually tastes good, if it's just the chemicals that like they somehow like chemically entrapped us in thinking that it tastes good?
I think it. I think it just tastes. I mean, okay. Okay, look at Dick's. That's yummy. I had a $2 Dick's burger today. That was yummy, but like, it's yummy and it's convenient and it's pretty dang cheap and you gotta do none of the cooking. That's the reason that so many Americans are leaning towards it. You know, even if you have a private chef, it still
So,
costs money.
so you're saying that there's an aspect of it that's related to a work culture. So you're saying that people are choosing to eat these fast foods and stuff because they don't want to cook because they don't have time.
Exactly. Wow, that's an amazing point, Joseph Gelman. That ties into my kind of idea on capitalism. To have a capitalist country, you must have jobs. That's a big part of it. Having jobs, job security, right? And with so many people having these 9 to 5 business jobs, they don't have any free time. They wake up, go to work, go home, sleep, and repeat that. They don't have any time to cook. And so the next best outlet are drive-throughs, fast food restaurants, maybe eating out, DoorDash especially, like these cheap options that promote eating unhealthy is the issue.
Hmm? At least we live in Seattle where you can't actually DoorDash anything unless you're a millionaire because you have to pay double the price, basically. Dude, those DoorDash taxes are horrible. They like I'm getting sidetracked.
That's why I got Dash Pass.
You got Dash Pad. Does it even work?
Yeah,
No, because you still pay the tax, don't you?
I pay less.
You pay less. You pay less
I still gotta pay.
from the person you.
Yeah,
pay.
but see, it lets me be lazy. I'm a victim of the society too, Joe.
I think you're right. I think we're all victims in that way. Well, thank you, Michael, for coming today into my podcast and helping me talk to these issues. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you, Joe. Bye, Joe. Congress.